the beginning, one of the biggest problems we used to always face, give them something to edit or to animate, we need a week, we need 2 weeks. And this can never fly by in this day and age. You would immediately pick this up, create a meme and throw it on X. And because there was high viewership of the event at the time, and people are keeping up with X on the news going, then you'll find people engaging very quickly.
Right.
And the way we do it is we find trends, then we see how can we make those relevant to the, to the brands we work with. Some of them sometimes work, some of them we just have to let it go. This is something you cannot encourage your employees to do it.
Yeah,
when you just give them the right culture, they'll do it alone. And it works by word of mouth, not by them publishing it on social media. So yes, there's a lot of risks into it. And we, as us being the brand advocates, the people who are, breathing these brands day in, day out, we should always know what to work on and what to do and what not to do.
Hussam, how's it going?
Good.
Good. Welcome to Below the Fold.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here over the weekend. It's a pleasure to have you here and to have this discussion with you over the weekend. Not that we need more work-related discussions. But yeah, here we are. I think it's going to be a fun one. I think you bring a lot to the table. But before we tackle the topic of today's podcast, which is around social content and agile content, why don't you give the listeners and viewers a bit of an intro about yourself?
So, I got a long history with this industry. Actually, I've always started as an ad man. I was never into the social content space. My career started in 2006, and it was back at creative agencies where I was client servicing. I wasn't even part of the entire creative space.
Yeah,
pure, client servicing guy. In 2017, with the rise of social starting from, let's say, 2013 onwards, and me being involved with bigger brands, especially on both social and ad campaigns, I started to somehow feel a little bit leaning more towards that side. And as much as I used to hate taking a picture at the time, even with a phone, funny enough, somehow it became a hobby. Which I remember when we used to go on big shoots, I used to just grab the camera, capture a few things with between sets, and then give this content to the social media team, which they used to use. Funny enough, it started with photography, and then it evolved into filmmaking, and then into editing, into retouching. Somehow I've spent around 3-4 years developing my entire content creation skills until I went rogue for a while and just started freelancing on multiple big brands. And with that period, I have learned how to be able to, to run and gun, to be the one guy that does everything. Go out, shoot, edit, get everything done on the same day, second day max, get it out. Because at the beginning, one of the biggest problems we used to always face, give them something to edit or to animate, we need a week, we need 2 weeks. And this can never fly by in this day and age, especially of how quick social runs. When I figured out the formula of it and I started understanding it technically, that's how I've completely shifted my entire career focus into, let's say, content production, mainly.
Right.
Which puts me now as the Agile studio lead within Publicis Content.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about that, because it intrigues me to know more about what's an Agile content studio. What do you mean? Like, do you make content in a matter of hours, days, as opposed to weeks, like you said? Is this the selling point, or?
We make content, so within the group mainly, I am known to be the person that gets things done very quickly.
Very nice.
Funny enough, now the word agile is good, but it's bad at the same time, because you're always expected to be there all the time, responding very quickly. Why agile? Because now content production, is multiple different things. There are content that we got few hours to get done, sometimes an hour only. There are some where we have a day. There are some where we have weeks. It depends. And there are some where we need to sometimes trendjack. And then there are some where we need to, use social listening and identify a few pieces of content and then to be able to respond quickly to them.
Right. Trendjack. So basically hijacking a trend.
Exactly.
Okay, that's a new one for me.
Yeah, we call it trendjacking, actually.
Trendjacking. It feels like these TikTok sort of trends that everyone follows.
No, not really. It could be, it's best done usually on Twitter.
Right.
With memes.
Yeah, on X.
Yeah.
Trendjacking on X. Because that's where most memes are exchanged?
Yes, it depends. Like, for example, let's say we did it a couple of years ago with the Yas Marina circuit during the F1.
Yeah.
Where, whenever something used to happen within the race, let's say, we'd immediately pick this up, create a meme, and throw it on X. And because there was high viewership of the event at the time, and people are keeping up with X on the news going, then you'll find people engaging very quickly with them.
Right.
Similar thing, for example, it's another example that I mentioned in the last article I wrote, which was the Heineken team in Publishers Amsterdam, where same thing, they transact the Victoria Beckham thing there as well.
You mean
with memes?
Yeah, interesting. So the Victoria Beckham show. Okay. With memes on X. What about Instagram and TikTok? What did you do there?
Trendjacking on those is a bit different.
Right.
So there, sometimes now. Over here, it's a bit difficult, and I'll tell you why. Because a lot of brands. And it's not the brands itself, it's how the region here works. It's not similar to Europe or the States. To be able to do it right here is you need to attack brands. Right. And they need to attack each other. And that's how it usually works.
Banter, so basically. Social
exactly.
Banter, yeah.
And that's how it usually... Sometimes, I remember... the two brands that did it very well or actually the only one who did it very well was General Motors.
Yeah.
I remember that was in 2018. So Ford, for their Mustang, published a happy anniversary something.
Yeah.
For the Mustang, I think it was the 50th. And then a few days later, you find the Camaro coming out with a post, and at the end it just says "Happy Birthday, Little Pony." It's these kind of things usually.
Yeah.
Actually, Chevrolet does it very well.
Yeah.
Very similar to the last TVC they launched for the Tahoe.
Yeah.
And it was all about the V8 because Nissan Patrol now is no longer a V8.
Right.
It was like a poet.
Right, and it's funny enough, the Camaro is being discontinued also.
Correct.
Yeah. So. Well, peace out, I guess, for Chevy. Interesting stuff. I think there's a lot that you're about to say that will come from the following sections that I want to cover. So I have two big segments that I want to take you through. The first one is a number of statements, which we're going to then scrutinize as to whether they're true or false.
All right.
Yeah, and the second one are statements that have been published on business marketing websites, right? That will also scrutinize and see if you and I agree with, right? Let's start with the true or false statements. What do you think? The first one, all right. Virality is more important than authenticity in social media content. False. Even though on the short run or on the short term, some may say that virality might outweigh authenticity. But so it's false.
I'll tell you why. Viral is very similar. The word viral in social media is very similar to the word creative in the ad world. It's very similar. I remember the most word I used to hate when I used to get a brief, give me something creative.
Of course.
Or it needs to be creative. It's a very subjective word. I like blue, you like red. Who will decide if this is creative or not?
Yeah.
It's the same thing when you get a brief telling you, which we do all the time, we need a video to go viral. I don't decide, or you, what makes this viral.
Yeah.
You might publish 1,000 pieces of content and only one will go viral. And that's not us who decides it. We can't know if it will. It's the crowd, the people.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes, of course, we know if we step into doing something that, for example, the trendjacking part, but sometimes you got to be very brave with the step you take for it to go viral.
Right.
Or you need to jump into a very specific thing that you are the first person to do it. And it's literally something out of the box to make it go viral.
So it's like creating something that attracts attention, but at the end, it might not necessarily align with the brand's values.
Exactly.
So it's like, for example, maybe Pampers publishing a video of dropping a car from the 100th floor, for example. What's the point? I mean, it's going to get some attention, it's going to get some views, but what's the message? Where's the authenticity?
100%.
Right?
So in the aim of going viral, sometimes you will have to lose a bit of your authenticity. That's one. Second, going viral usually is easier for individuals rather than brands, because what people share always is, let's say, what Ibrahim might say on his podcast as something that, let's say, might be interesting for some people, that is shareable. But if a brand will just come out with a specific ad, nobody's going to share it. It's a brand, it's an ad. Let's go, move on. Yeah. You know, unless you're coming up with something funny. For example, similar to what Ryanair and Duolingo does on TikTok, you know. They jump on trends. They are like the the legends of TikTok now because of what they do. Is it on their brand? No, but is what they're doing relevant to the platform they're on? It is, you know. But it doesn't mean that they went viral for a while. They're known to be the ones who did this, but khalas, now it's gone.
Yeah,
you know. And I remember one or two posts that what went viral, but not everything.
Right.
Because all what they do now is literally they see what trends are going on. They do the same thing to their to me the brand. So for promising someone virality is very similar to you promising your client a number of followers.
Right.
Nobody can promise it. So it's more important to stay authentic, to remain, to remain speaking the same tone of voice that you always do. Hoping you might do something that works for you. Because one of the things sometimes now majority of the content we produce when it comes to social media, it's not like creative. Creative will go, they will brainstorm, they'll think about an idea. It will be built for an ad campaign. In social media, no. Majority of our algorithms are fine-tuned. Like we have multiple accounts, and you'll find them fine-tuned to the brands we work with for us to see what works with them. And the way we do it is we find trends, then we see how can we make those relevant to the brands we work with. Some of them sometimes work, some of them we just have to let it go. It doesn't.
Yeah.
And once we identify these references, it's a matter of copy-paste.
Yeah.
Now, we might copy something as a brand. We might go more viral than the initial person who did it. But this is all by luck.
Yeah.
It just depends how it flies over.
Right.
That's it.
Or you might find a little twist, maybe that you can.
Or
add,
that,
I
yeah.
guess.
Again, it goes back to the same thing we were talking about. You mainly always the twists are you bashing other brands, or you doing or doing something that is not usual for people to see.
Yeah.
Which is sometimes is also a risk.
It's a risk, and I feel like this is more leaning towards the virality rather than the authenticity part.
100%.
Right. So are you trying to become a social media star, or are you trying to become a brand? I guess that's the question that you need to ask yourself when you think about virality and authenticity. Excellent. So the next one, the speed, and now we go back, right, to the Agile Content Studio. The speed of posting on social media always trumps the quality of the content.
Correct.
And I mean, this is a very interesting one, because you obviously would imagine that something that you develop very quickly, that you only develop in a day, means that it's probably not high quality. But yet it could perform really well, right? But is there a world where you could develop something of high quality in a day or two?
Yes, but let me tell you how it usually works. So there's different types of content that we produce. So when I said, sometimes you have days, sometimes you have hours. Let me take what we do mostly, because majority of the businesses we handle are destination businesses, and we're involved in a lot of events on ground. When we go to shoot an event, we're expected to turn around with a wrap-up video within 2 hours after the event. So literally, you'd find the content creators done filming, putting the laptop on their laps, and starting editing. And the max we get is 3 hours. If that same piece of content was given more hours, and you got to keep into consideration one thing, that the person editing this has been filming for the past 8 hours. So he's kind of already fried up, and so he's using whatever brain power he has to get this edit done. Now, why do I say that the longer you give it, you might get a better quality? Because there are very small bits and pieces in content when you create that makes a big impact. For example, adding the right sound effects, adding the right visual effects. These things sometimes, if you're short on time, you don't have time to add them, not because of the fact that it's just a matter of adding them to the video, no, because you need to look for them.
Right.
You can never have a library that you can pick and choose what you want out of it when it comes to video editing. You always have to look at it and then go find what works best for this shot that you're trying, to reach to.
Right.
And if you give it more time, then you could start getting more creative with it. As in, okay, I'll add this sound effect to this specific scene. I'll add this this visual effect. This will create more impact. Then you get things which are more not event coverages, where you gotta, let's say, have
footage,
4 or 5 pieces of content. They're trends. You want to go shoot them. We did that a lot for a lot of brands.
Yeah.
They're 15 to 20 seconds videos, short, straightforward, nothing extra difficult with their editing. Yes, we'll shoot those within 6 hours, get the edits done within the next 4 or 5 hours. They're out. They're done in the same day.
Yeah.
Majority of them are not time sensitive, but to be honest, it's just that the brief's always coming late.
Yeah.
And it's because of how fast moving things are. And then there are things where we get to have to use social listening tools for us to identify specific trends and to be able to immediately pick something. Sometimes we shoot it, sometimes we don't need to. We just can find assets from the internet and use those to publish something and get it out of the way.
Yeah.
And these usually happen. When we started doing this, I remember it was back in 2017 and 16 actually, and we used to do it manually. There wasn't those social listening tools. So what we used to have, I remember,
just go on the feed
on a wall. No, not even. We used to have 6 big screens, and then we used to open all the platforms like Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and for different brands on each one of them. And you used to monitor that for the first 2 hours of the day. And once we find something, we immediately jump in, do it, get the post down. And the post used to be out by 1 p.m.
Wow. Okay.
And this used to start from 10. By 2, we have something posted. 1 or 2, we have something posted.
Yeah.
This is agility we're talking about.
Yeah.
And in most cases, is the quality of these videos great? No. And we know it. And I know that I can get something better if I have time.
Yeah.
But what's important is for this piece of content, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Does it get results?
Of course it does.
There you go. That's it.
And that goes back to the same thing I always say. I always say it, we produce effective content, not creative content.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's a really good point. I feel like you cannot compromise on the relevancy that you're able to deliver with agile content for the sake of top-notch quality, the best quality out there. So there's a relevancy factor or element that is crucial for you to like tap into, right? Let's move to the next one. Brands should prioritize entertaining content over educational content to succeed on social media.
Ooh, that's a nice one.
I mean, I think it might depend on the brand or.
Look, there is no true or false to that. Entertaining content in general is easier to digest.
Yeah.
In general,
yeah,
it's much easier for the consumer to watch entertaining content and keep watching it. Educational is very tricky. What I mean by that, educational needs to be the right type of education in the right platform. Example, if your educational content is tutorials, YouTube needs to be your main platform. If your educational content is single or like one or two pieces of advice on the go, then fine, you can let those fly on TikTok or Instagram. And if it's something that is more business related, then it needs to be on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And it will all depend on the duration. Like you can't just come and create a full tutorial. Like the reason I'm saying this is because I see them. Like I see a 7-minute video on Instagram for tutorials that is vertical. Fine, it might be good, but you know what? What if I want to find it later on? I'll never find it.
Yeah.
There's no point of this tutorial. But if you'll tell me, for example, if you make your content, let's say education in the sense of, okay, eat 2 pineapples a day and then it will make you happy. Fine, that's something I'll hear and I'll remember.
Yeah.
I don't need to go look for it.
It still needs to be snackable, let's say.
Right? 100%.
Yeah. I feel like, I mean, I guess it would depend. Educational content versus entertaining. Yeah, I mean, today you can see that most content, like you said, consumed is comedy. That's what most gets people to engage. You do want to create maybe educational content as these social platforms are becoming search engines as well. Today you have a lot of people that use social media to search for stuff.
Correct.
Right? And maybe you do like create a play for these queries whereby you post educational content and you make sure that you include these keywords that these people may be searching for. So perhaps for these behaviors, you might want to develop some educational content that could be, I guess, discovered based on the search queries. But I suppose entertaining is what would maybe get more engagement.
There's also what we call announcement content. So there's a big part where a lot of brands, what they do, just want to announce things. They, for example, launched new products, or they achieved specific things, or these are more announcements. They're neither nor educational or entertaining, and which is a lot of the content that we work on, specifically when it comes to B2B, for example. Similar to the content where, for example, we work on sometimes financial results for different brands. These are more, they're just trying to announce.
It's like hygiene, I suppose. Hygiene type of content, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I mean...
and by the way, this is a big one on the B2B side.
Yeah. Because on B2B side, it's predominantly people who know you already, that's going to view your content, right? That follow you, that maybe that are looking for recency rather than entertainment, right? I don't care about Pampers' latest earnings, right? I want to know what's their, latest message maybe or product.
Exactly.
But I want to know maybe, I don't know. I'm just saying anything. I want to know Google's latest market share maybe, or share price share, for example, or makes sense. We have 2 more. The next one is creativity in social media content can be outsourced entirely to agencies.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is already.
Yeah, of course it is.
Look,
I'm just trying to think of scenarios where it's not like...
There are these scenarios, but they're very rare, because it's very rare that some brands take the this step or have the budgets to hire this team internally. Usually, sometimes, yeah, exactly, because now why does it make sense to put it in agencies? Because agencies usually is, you're talking about a humongous structure of different resources. Even if let's say your business has 5 to 10 FTEs, but realistically you're getting access to the entire network without you even paying for it. Let's say we have clients that, I'm gonna just talk from a content creator's perspective. I have clients, for example, that pay for 3 FTEs when it comes to content creators under their brand. Yes, they get the 3 FTEs. However, these guys do not sit and think alone only in the brand. They access the tools of the network to be able to get more ideas and sometimes get support from other creators on other businesses. And that's usually why what we did is have a network of creators together that they can learn from each other. And this access, you can only get it in agencies.
Yeah. And
internally, you're very limited.
yeah.
That's what happens usually.
Yeah.
But there are some brands, like for example, like Talabat, who has their own in-house team. I try and remember who else. Can't remember who, but some of them actually probably they found it more efficient to do that, and it worked for them. Some of them tried it and they failed with it, and they went back to agencies. Some FMCGs tried it and it didn't work well for them.
Yeah. I can imagine 99% of these people anyways are probably ex-agencies as well.
Yes.
All right. And also, like, agencies have, a proven also process and framework, right, to deliver creativity, but also like a track record, right, of winning awards, right, for creativity. So how can you match that?
But it's also, Ibrahim, it's also even not only in creative, even for you guys on the media side, if one of your team members falls sick, there's someone else to pick it up. Because there's a bigger team that is involved on the day-to-day and knows what's going on.
Yeah.
It's the same thing for us. When one guy falls down, there's someone else to pick it up.
Right. Yeah.
But when you have it internally, you don't have access to that. If one guy is down, he's down.
Yeah.
And if he goes on leave, he's on leave.
Yeah.
And that's what you get out of agencies.
Yeah.
Very similar to, for example, when I want to outsource things to, because I don't have, let's say, enough bandwidth to work with. I prefer to work with companies, not with direct freelancers, because of the same case.
Yeah.
Because I know if anything happens with companies, they will be able to back me up with someone else. But with freelancers, if he's gone, he's gone.
Yeah, it's inconsistent.
Exactly.
Right? Last true or false statement. Staying true to a brand's identity is incompatible with adopting social media trends. I feel like this could go back to the first one, where you need to sort of find the right balance between authenticity and virality. So I'm gonna repeat it one more time. Staying true to a brand's identity is incompatible with adopting social media trends. I don't believe that's true. Is it?
No, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, you can stay true to your brand's identity and adopt social media trends, unless you are you're like a funeral brand or like a very serious brand. Maybe you're.
Of course, serious brands, anyways, will never be involved in those kind of things on social media. Usually, serious brands you'll find them on LinkedIn or on X with very straightforward, serious things. They
statements.
Exactly. They go back to the announcement posts. It's either they're making statements or they're announcing things. That's it. That's all what they do.
Yeah.
And no, we've did it for multiple brands where we jumped on trends and we made sure to make it very, still following the brand tone of voice and not getting out of their skin, you know, because some brands sometimes are afraid that they might go a little bit overboard and then they will lose their brand image. But it's not the case anymore in social, because when you pick something up, let's say, and put it on TikTok, as much as you think you're going to lose your brand image, who's on TikTok? Gen Z? They'll find you cool as a brand.
Yeah.
That's how they look at it.
Yeah. You need to relook and revisit your brand guidelines if you're not able to adopt social media trends.
But again, it's you knowing as a brand who, what to publish where.
Yeah.
The best who does it, for example, is Apple.
Yeah.
Apple is the best brand that knows how to utilize the platforms correctly.
Right.
Because if you go to Apple on Instagram, all they have is shot on iPhone pictures, because for them it's it's a platform focused more on images and creativity. If you go to their TikTok, you'll find content very relevant to TikTok and trends on TikTok. For example, their X account is only a customer service account. You'll not find a single post there, but they use it just as a customer service platform.
Right.
And on LinkedIn, you'll find their business products. And so they do it right without getting out of their brand identity.
Yeah. It's funny you say you use the example for Apple, because from my experience, or from what I know, they're very stiff when it comes to brand guidelines, right? And yet they did manage, right, to like cater or to different platforms or be platform first. I want us to jump onto the next segment. I'm conscious of time, and I do want us to visit those, to go over that, which is some controversial statements, right, that we want to scrutinize. Let's tap into the first one. All right. This is from the Australians. Brands should reclaim control over their marketing activities from external agencies. And let me give you the excerpt for this. Sir Martin Sorrell advocates for CMOs to regain control over their marketing, particularly first-party data, from external agencies to remain agile and effective. This approach emphasizes the importance of data ownership but may challenge existing agency partnerships. So obviously it's more on the data front.
But don't they already own it? Regardless if it's with the agency or not?
They do. They have to.
I mean, we signed 1 million documents saying that they own the rights to all the data.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, I wouldn't be surprised to find scenarios where the agency sort of still owns some of the, let's say some of the media data, right, for clients. So like, for example, account ownerships, or ad account ownerships, and whatever learnings you can gather there for your brand. This may still sit with agencies, but and that's fine.
But even that for what do they call it, for let's say for I count content as data as well. In the end, the difference, let's say, back then when you used to shoot TVCs and you used to shoot, let's say, go on big photo shoots, you used to have to pay for usage rights, and you used to have to pay if you wanted the raw files an additional amount. For us, everything we shoot and film now within content, there's no usage rights, and you're not going to pay. You own whatever we shoot for you as a brand, and we always make sure to hand over to them all the content we shot.
Yeah.
Because it is part of the data
that
they need, especially when we go on and, we have brands that we shoot for them on a weekly basis, and we have like a huge library of footage and photos for them.
Yeah.
And they need to have access to that at any time.
Yeah, agreed.
So it's the same case.
So this is already happening. Another one, this is an interesting one from Financial Times. Utilizing employees as brand advocates on social media is an effective marketing strategy.
Depend. In what are we talking about here?
Like what's a scenario like where it makes sense?
Are we talking about employees promoting the workplace, or are we talking about them promoting the product? What are we talking about? So because they're different.
Yeah.
Promoting the workplace, let's say, this is something you cannot encourage your employees to do it.
Yeah,
when you just give them the right culture, they'll do it alone. And it works by word of mouth, not by them publishing it on social media.
Yeah.
We all know, and we hear about great places to work at from hearing people who work there talking about it,
Yeah.
But when it comes to let's say
putting it as an ad, launching a campaign about it,
it's
maybe.
very risky.
Yeah.
It's very risky. For example, if you look, I'm not gonna say employee, but in PlayStation did it on their Arabia channel.
Yeah.
When they got a host to be the host of their channel on YouTube, they made sure to get someone neutral, someone who's not famous, someone who's not known, someone who is not their employee. They just got someone neutral because they wanted someone who has no association with anything else.
Right. Otherwise, people may think that's biased, right?
That's one. And second, still with this, there is a risk because this person now became the face of this brand, and anything wrong he does reflects on the brand.
Right.
So technically, you cannot be a face of a brand and then go and publish whatever you want on your social.
Yeah.
Because nobody's going to talk about you as a person or as an employee. Everybody's going to talk about the brand.
That's an interesting point, which sort of also trumps the right use of influencers and people to add or of advocates, basically, right? Is it, there's a risk obviously associated with it, like you said. If you do over rely on one person.
Look, with influencers, it's different. With influencers are known to be ad platforms.
Yeah.
When you get an influencer to do an ad for your brand, they're in there to do the ad and out. But when you have a consistent face that speaks on behalf of your brand, that's a risky one.
Right. Yeah.
When it's, let's say it's Ibrahim always talking about iPhone and being the spokesperson of iPhone.
Yeah.
And if Ibrahim goes and say anything wrong, then
and
that's the risk.
And also, if something happens to Ibrahim, people will notice. It'll create a void. If you even if you decide to go with someone else, it's gonna create this. I guess this breaking point where people are gonna feel something is off, right? So it's probably better to try to diversify your.
If you'd ask me,
cast.
If you'd ask me, I'd always say, no, don't use employees to promote your brand.
Yeah.
If you want your employees to promote your workplace or your brand as an organization, just give them a good culture.
Yeah.
And it will happen naturally without you telling them anything.
Right. Here's an interesting one from Business Insider. Brands should avoid news and political content to maintain brand safety.
Always.
Yeah, there's no question about it, right?
Always. You are a brand that has nothing to do with that, then stay out of it.
Yeah.
I'm not coming to watch you to know politically what's going on in the world.
I can turn on the news for that, right?
Exactly. And then, of course, you're always going to lose to one side.
Yeah. You're always losing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You might win some, but you're going to lose some.
Yeah.
So stay neutral and win everyone.
Right. I think this one is a no-brainer. Another few, from Business Insider, engaging in culture wars can be beneficial for brand visibility. So some marketeers believe that taking a stand on divisive issues, right, can enhance brand visibility and appeal to certain demographics. Yet there's a strategic risks, right, that or this basically approach risks alienating other consumer segments and can lead to significant backlash. It's like jumping on a trend that's tapping into a specific maybe stereotype. Let's say, for example, that's maybe entertaining one maybe group and then also alienating another, right? There is this.
It's very similar to the question before.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. So you need to be careful, right, when you pick what kind of jack trend, right? You call it
Trendjacking.
Trendjacking. I need to learn my lesson, right?
But yeah, no, it's look, for us, we are always very careful about the song we're using, the visual elements we're using, the colors, there's a lot of things that we got to watch out. And we specifically, it is when we're working with content that is being published in KSA.
Right. Yeah.
We need to be very careful with all of these things, because you might be doing something normal, but if you don't watch out, you will indirectly insult someone.
Yeah.
And then you're going to get a backlash on it.
Yeah.
So yes, there's a lot of risks into it, and we, as us being the brand advocates or the people who are, breathing these brands day in, day out, we should always know what to work on and what to do and what not to do.
Right.
That's why, by the way, we always get from the clients, I like this trend. Can you create something with them?
No,
it's not going to work for you.
And this is why makes you the expert, right, in this field, right? Because you have this experience and know what works, what doesn't work.
Exactly.
Hussam, it was a pleasure having you.
Likewise. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Have a great weekend.
See you.
See ya. Bye.